What if there was a cursed spirit based on communism? Let's talk about it. Okay, first of all, shout out to Granola for asking me to do this today, so let's get into it. And first and foremost, what is communism, right? Well, it's essentially just an ideology centered around the idea of creating a classless society where wealth is distributed far more equally based upon need rather than greed, let's call it. And essentially, in this type of society, the community itself would own the means of production as opposed to private businesses, if you will, or just private interests. Now, communism in a vacuum is just that. It's just an ideology, right? But a cursed spirit based upon it wouldn't necessarily be based upon those ideas, right? But it would rather be based upon the fears that surrounded communism. So to figure out what a communism cursed spirit would be like is actually pretty easy because we can just point to the real life fears that surrounded communism at multiple points throughout our history, and at least in the United States, which is where I'm from. There were actually multiple periods known as the Red Scare, which were just these intense times of paranoia against like a communist movement in the United States and how communism was going to take over. And there were all of these like bad actors and agents going to try and influence our way of life. Essentially, the Red Scare was just this widespread paranoia that communists had infiltrated society, right? And you never knew who was secretly poisoned by this communist ideology. It could be your friend, it could be your neighbor, your employee, your boss, like it could be anyone, right? They look just like us. How can you know what someone is really thinking? So essentially, I think this cursed spirit will be based upon that paranoia and just that fear that really anyone around you could be secretly working against you. So to that end, I think a communism cursed spirit would be a puppet master. This would be a special grade level entity that had the ability to infect others and then use them for its will, right? Meaning your family member, your neighbors, whoever could secretly be infected by this thing and acting out its every whim, trying to infect you. We kind of get into zombie territory here as well, which is kind of what the propaganda was like back during the Red Scare. As you can see in this propaganda poster, it's like, is this tomorrow where people are just going to be like brawling in the streets and things are burning down to the ground? So yeah, I'm thinking puppet master, I'm thinking infection, hive mind, basically an entity that is just slowly spreading its will through a larger and larger population, which would lead to a situation where you just basically never know who you can actually trust.